There's almost nothing worse than state regime media known as Fox. They know that the key to brainwashing their audience is projection. You literally take what Donald Trump is doing and then you attack the other side for doing it. It happens over and over again. Donald Trump gives a disastrous commencement speech, somehow attack Democrats for commencement speech. Donald Trump whines that he's being persecuted and pity me. You then go after Democrats for that. Issue by issue. You'll see that's what state regime media known as Fox has been doing. It was doing it last night. For example, you have Laura Ingraham saying, there's just nothing worse than someone who pretends to be persecuted while ignoring real persecution. You mean Donald Trump? You mean you? You mean everybody in Donald Trump's cabinet? Here, play this clip.
There's nothing worse than someone who pretends to be persecuted while ignoring real persecution, or pretends to be the keeper of the truths when associated with a network that did everything it could to protect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, even editing an interview with the VP to make her look smarter.
And then Laura Ingraham is like, and everybody's just attacking me. Right after that, they call me the high priestess of hate. Pity me and my hundreds of millions of dollars. Watch, right after she said the other thing. Here, play this clip.
They cannot have dialogue. They cannot actually go onto the merits of why they are right or why we might be wrong. Instead, they must smear us with the age-old one-liner that you are a racist or that you are a hater. And they're finally realizing the power of Turning Point USA, which is why they put us on this list.
Well, when you're effective, you're a threat, right?
That's
so
right.
They call me the high priestess of hate, right, Sam? Is that what they call me?
Congratulations.
2008. Oh, it's old. It's so old.
So then you bring on Donald Trump's chief propagandist, Caroline Leavitt. And Caroline Leavitt goes, the real issue right now is that we don't need LGBTQ Harvard grads. What we really need is electricians and plumbers. Much more of that, much less Harvard grads. That's such an odd way of framing things. You think that there's somehow a zero-sum game here? But again, this is the message that state regime media coordinates with the authoritarian regime, the Trump regime, and spews these messages while attacking our higher learning institutions like Harvard. Here, play this clip.
And the president is more interested in giving that taxpayer money to trade schools and programs in state schools where they are promoting American values, but most importantly, educating the next generation based on skills that we need in our economy and our society. Apprenticeships, electricians, plumbers. We need more of those in our country and less LGBTQ graduate majors from Harvard University. And that's what this administration's position is. And we also are not going to tolerate the illegal, criminal, anti-Semitic behavior that we saw take place at Harvard and many other college campuses across the country.
And this isn't a win for Fox. This isn't a win for America. You literally have China, Canada, the EU, and elsewhere. They are salivating at the opportunity to get the best students to study there. As Donald Trump destroys the value of the dollar and destroys the American brand as a safe place for the international community to put its money, European Union, Canada, China, they're just sitting there saying, why don't you invest in us? What we're seeing here is just completely pathetic, and it's self-defeating as well. Then you have Caroline Leavitt here refer to whatever the heck happened with the United Kingdom as miraculous. She goes, we're focused now on the European Union after that miraculous deal with the United Kingdom. Here, play this clip.
For the trade talks, since you mentioned them, I was just going back and forth with our United States Trade Representative, Jamison Greer, who informed me that the Trump administration continues to be in intensive talks with India. And the president, of course, has applied very public pressure to the European Union so that they, too, can have a miraculous trade deal just like we cut with Britain and our friends in the United Kingdom. So we continue to move forward in cutting good deals that put the American people and the American worker first.
The miraculous deal? You mean the memorandum of understanding that's not even a deal, where it literally says this is not a binding deal? And the only thing it did, if it did anything at all, was provide exemptions and benefits for Jaguar, Land Rover, and Rolls-Royce in the United Kingdom, who now have more advantageous terms with the American consumer than American car manufacturers like General Motors and Ford. But that's what the Trump regime is all about. So then you have Caroline Leavitt, again, goes on state regime media, perpetuates the lie that, under Biden, we had an economy that was left in the dust, and now we're reviving everything. I'm obviously going to fact check it. Don't worry, but here, play this clip.
We had an economy that was left in the dust, but again, thanks to President Trump's pro-growth policies. And now we have the one big beautiful bill on its way to his desk. It's in the Senate now, being marked up and amended so it can go back to the House and then to the president ultimately for signature this summer.
And again, this is the most disingenuous, most ridiculous propaganda that exists. Under former President Biden, the United States objectively, the data was leading the world. Now under Donald Trump, we're trailing the world. Under Biden, record GDP growth, leading the world. Record job growth, record low unemployment, energy independent, the most energy production in the world, 40,000 infrastructure projects, the markets over, those 4 years, up 40 to 50%. All good data. And under Donald Trump, it's been the opposite. It's been a disaster. When Donald Trump promised he would make things more affordable, that's not what's happened at all. It's just more propaganda from Caroline Leavitt that you see right there. So then you bring in FDA commissioner, and this FDA commissioner, he goes on Fox to brag about their new policy of withholding COVID boosters and COVID vaccines from people who they deem to be not worthy of it to people who they deem to be healthy under the age of 65. You're not going to be allowed to get COVID vaccines anymore under their proposal. Here, play this clip.
We talked about the risk calculation that young kids didn't need it. They didn't suffer from COVID. They didn't need to run the risk of the shot. Did that factor into your decision as well, that we're not appropriately measuring the risk of vaccine injury for someone who may not be getting the benefit designed because they weren't at risk for COVID?
Well, as you know, Will, hundreds of thousands of Americans have claimed that they have been injured by the COVID vaccine. And so we've got to listen. It takes a lot of time to do a proper analysis that hasn't been done to date, and it's got to go into factored into the equation. Now, the recommendation was really based on the voice of many doctors across the country who have said, look at the rest of the world, look at Europe, and look at where we are. We need a more science-based, evidence-based approach.
And again, you're going to have to go to get black market COVID vaccines. They're affirmatively depriving the American people of that. And by the way, you had RFK Jr. and the FDA guy attacking the New England Journal of Medicine as well and saying, nobody likes that. That's not real stuff right there. These are dangerous people. We don't even know the extent of the measles outbreak because we're not getting accurate data from the Trump administration. They covered up an E. coli outbreak in Indiana. The NIH cuts, the CDC cuts, the most basic foundation of government to keep Americans healthy. And they just have a slogan, Maha, Maha. What the hell are they even, Maha? What are you even talking about? Didn't Donald Trump promise, by the way, what was it, 3 weeks ago at this point? He said that prescription drug prices, based on what he signed, were going to go down 90%. Do you remember when he said that? Are they down 90% now? But no, we're just supposed to go on and move on to the next story and pretend that he didn't say that? Seriously? That's where we're at right now? So then we have Dana Perino right here. As I mentioned at the outset, they know that Donald Trump's Army grad commencement speech at West Point was absolutely disastrous. So what do? They attack the commencement speech from the one of the hosts at 60 Minutes. Here, play this clip.
This is the crazy thing. First of all, who does he think he was asked to speak to?
Yeah.
Us? Trump? Who is his audience? This is what really gets me. These universities pay a lot of money for a speaker like that to come in and give because they want to invest in their students. They want to give. Does Wake Forest want this speech? You think this is the audience for this?
Yeah.
Those kids are sitting there going, I just worked my butt off for 4 years. I want to go to the bar. I have a party to go to. Let's get this show on the road. And why can't the commencement address be, guess what? You guys are going to do great. Here's my top 5 pieces of advice. You know what? I'll cut it down to 3 because I know you want to go get a beer. Here's 1, 2, 3. Good job. And you know what? Everybody would applaud. I do not understand this whole thing of going and using this as a policy platform. If he really wants to make that case, maybe make it to the person that's the head of the network that's trying to sell it.
Then you have this guy, Tom Homan, man. He's a creepy dude. His AOC thing, it's like, just watch when he talks about AOC. Dude is a creeper. Play the clip.
Tom, I can hear them now, the caterwauling from the open borders crowd saying, how dare you try to weaponize a prosecutorial arm of our government to go after local officials doing their local business. And you say?
Well, remember, just a couple weeks ago, AOC went on social media saying if we put a finger on any of her co-workers, Congress people that were at our Newark facility, there'd be consequences. Well, guess what? We did it. I'm waiting on the consequences.
And then you see the collusion between Fox and other corporate news as well. Like Fox's state regime media, of course. But then just think about the assist from Jake Tapper on CNN. Jake Tapper, who wants to, right now, May 2025, defame former President Biden. That's what they are focused on doing when we had a stable, values-based, orderly government versus the chaos now. And I've said this before, Donald Trump's best day is worse than the worst thing I could even have conceived about and contorted in former President Biden's worst day. Every day. I mean, think about what Donald Trump posted in the morning, what he talked about yesterday. Think about everything this guy does. Here, play this clip.
Laura, when did that apology come? And if you don't mind sharing with us, what did he say?
Yeah, Jake Tapper called me about 2 months ago, actually. And he said, I have this book coming out. And I know everybody's saying that I should apologize to you. I plan, whenever the book comes out, to go on TV and I will say, you were right and I was wrong. And I guess to Jake's credit, he did that.
Well, there you have it, folks. And I show you these because I want you to know the anatomy of the lie and the disinformation. I want you to see how they do it so you can take this knowledge and show others how to combat it with the fact check, with what's going on. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers.
Can't get enough Midas?
Help me! Help me!
First doom.
Help me!
Double takedown.
Enemy nearby detected.
Double takedown.
Enemy nearby detected.